Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at the market site in Times Square, we have Jeff Stein. He's the CEO of Synthesis. We're going to take a look at outsourcing software. Does it make more sense to buy or to build in 2019? It's so great to have you with us, Jeff. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, outsourcing regulatory solutions, it's becoming more popular in 2019 and beyond. Why do you think it's more effective to buy versus building?
Well, in the regulatory reporting space, it's all about time to market and the ability to adapt to change, right? And the other thing is really around, how much do you want to dedicate to non-revenue producing functions versus revenue producing functions, right? Obviously the more capital you can dedicate to revenue producing functions, the better, you're suited to be competitive in the market, right? Versus your competitor down the street, so to speak.
Right. So tell us about Synthesis, where you fit within the ecosystem and what the core mission is.
Yeah, so Synthesis is a data engineering and processing solutions provider. It was born out of about 30 plus years of myself and some of my colleagues who are with me within financial services at large banks. And a lot of it was built around some of the challenges that we've faced collectively, myself, some of the frustrations around getting access to data, trade data specifically, having to streamline that to regulatory entities, various on the securities or swaps side. And, we had this idea that, if we can't find a solution, why don't we build one? Mm-hmm. And so that's what we basically did about 2 years ago.
And now the solution's called Adept.
Yes.
And that helps banks comply with the Consolidated Audit Trail, what we affectionately call CAT.
Yeah, we affectionately call CAT. Yes, the CAT. So yeah, our solution we've codenamed Adept, which stands for Agile Data Engineering and Processing Technology. It's a platform that is cloud enabled, although you can run it on premise as easily as you can in the cloud. But what we've done is we've actually taken that technology and we've built a real-time trade store, which we use to feed certain workflows, one of them being CAT, mm-hmm. Okay? And we've basically now been able to put out something that we're calling CAT Lite, which essentially is it's a way for certain firms who are uncertain around how they're going to be compliant or if they're going to be compliant by the December 15th deadline that's coming up this year. We can use that as a insurance policy for them, or use it as a gateway to actually build upon their CAT solution. Right.
So it's a product that helps keep everyone compliant and within the regulatory umbrella. Exactly,
and it's quick to market. It's very painless to install, but it allows firms to make sure that they're meeting the deadlines as efficiently and as low cost as possible.
All right. Now, some of the bigger trends that you're seeing in data storage and reporting.
It's really around data pipeline. The big buzzword today is around data pipelining, which is taking data from one side and producing something on the other side and storing all of the components in between. And that's essentially what Adept is. And it's really also around empowering the users, not the vendors, for getting access to data. So we don't want to be in the space where the banks or broker dealers need to come to us, but they can exercise self-help if they want to get access to their own data. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, the data is their own. The trade store is on their premise, and they can exercise that and pull reports at any time that they want.
And that's a great note to wrap up on, because given all the service providers within this space, when you're a bank, when you're a broker, when you're selecting the right vendor, what should you be looking for?
Well, it's exactly that. Exactly what I said is you as a broker dealer, in my former roles as a reg change head, you need to be able to access your data.
Right.
And when a regulator comes to you, you have to be able to turn that around in a relatively short period of time. You can't rely on several layers of internal IT, or you can't rely on another vendor that's going to have some kind of other timeline. you have to be able to respond as quickly as possible because the regulator is asking you. And that's really what it's all about, is how quickly a firm can remain compliant and be transparent with the regulators.
It's like regulation is a service. Everything's as a service now.
Everything is a service.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on MarketSite.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining me on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.